Nothing about this morning looks unhealthy. No fast food, no cigarettes. Just an alarm, a coffee, a scroll through the phone, a quick breakfast on the way out the door. And yet, according to a growing body of research, at least three things in that ordinary 5 minutes may be quietly working against one of the most important systems in your body, one that influences digestion, immunity, mood, and more than we understood even a decade ago, your gut. By the end of this video, you'll know which everyday habits the research actually links to gut health, and just as importantly, which popular gut health claims are still more marketing than science. Before the list, a quick reset, because gut health has become one of the most overused, oversold phrases in wellness content, and it's worth understanding what's actually being talked about. Your gut is home to trillions of bacteria, collectively called your gut microbiome. This isn't a niche detail. This microbial population plays a documented role in digestion, in training your immune system, and in producing certain neurotransmitters, including a notable portion of your body's serotonin. Research over the last 2 decades has increasingly linked the health and diversity of this microbiome to outcomes far beyond digestion, including inflammation, immune function, and emerging, still developing research around mood and mental health. That said, and this matters, gut health has also become a magnet for overhyped claims. Not everything sold as gut health support is backed by strong evidence. So as we go through this list, I'm going to flag clearly what's well established and what's still an open question in the research. Let's start with the one that's the most solid. Habit number 1, lack of dietary fiber. This is the most well-established item on this entire list. The bacteria in your gut rely on fiber, specifically certain fibers found in vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole grains, as their primary fuel source. When fiber intake is low, researchers have observed measurable reductions in microbial diversity, generally considered a marker of a healthier gut ecosystem, and most people are eating far less fiber than recommended. Various national surveys have found that a significant majority of adults fall short of daily fiber targets, often by a wide margin. This isn't a fringe habit, it's close to the default for a lot of people, hiding inside completely ordinary meals. Habit number 2, chronic stress. This is where it gets more interesting, because the gut and the brain are connected far more directly than most people realize. There's a well-documented communication pathway between your gut and your brain, often referred to as the gut-brain axis. Chronic stress has been shown in research to alter gut motility, change the composition of gut bacteria, and increase intestinal permeability, sometimes informally called leaky gut, a term that's often used loosely in wellness marketing, but does refer to a real, measurable physiological phenomenon in the scientific literature. This is a two-way relationship, worth being clear about. Stress affects your gut, and there's increasing evidence your gut may also influence stress and mood, though that direction of the relationship is still an active area of ongoing research. Habit number 3, over-reliance on antibacterial everything. Now, here's one that surprises people because it's been marketed for decades as an unambiguous good. Frequent, heavy use of antibacterial soaps, sanitizers, and, separately, the overuse of antibiotics for minor or viral illnesses where they're not medically necessary has been linked in research to reduced microbial diversity in the gut. Antibiotics in particular don't just target harmful bacteria. They broadly reduce populations of beneficial bacteria too, and some research suggests it can take gut bacteria populations weeks or even months to substantially recover after a course of antibiotics. To be clear, this is not an argument against necessary antibiotic use when a doctor prescribes them for a bacterial infection. That's often essential, sometimes life-saving medicine. This is specifically about unnecessary use and about the broader cultural shift towards sanitizing everything, which appears to have a measurable cost to microbial diversity that wasn't well understood until relatively recently. Habit number 4, artificial sweeteners. This is the most scientifically contested item on the list, so I want to be extra careful here. Some research, including a few notable studies, has suggested that certain artificial sweeteners may alter gut bacteria composition in ways that could affect blood sugar regulation. This research generated a lot of headlines, but it's important to say clearly the evidence here is mixed. Some key findings have not been consistently replicated in follow-up studies, and much of the existing research has been conducted in animal models or small human trials rather than large long-term human studies. This is genuinely an open, ongoing area of research, not a settled conclusion. I'm including it because it's one of the most commonly cited gut health villains online, and it deserves an honest, appropriately hedged treatment rather than either dismissal or alarm. Habit number 5, poor sleep. And here's the one that ties everything together, the habit almost nobody connects to gut health at all. Emerging research has found a relationship between sleep quality and gut microbiome composition, and it appears to run in both directions. Poor sleep has been associated with reduced microbial diversity, and separately, certain gut bacteria populations have been linked to the production of compounds involved in regulating sleep. This area of research is newer and still developing compared to fiber or stress, but the existing findings are consistent enough that sleep is increasingly discussed among gut health researchers as a meaningfully underrated factor, one that gets far less attention than diet despite a plausible growing evidence base. So here's the honest problem with almost everything you've seen online about gut health. The science is real, genuinely fascinating, and still relatively young. The modern understanding of the microbiome has largely developed within the last 15 to 20 years. That combination, real science, early stage, high public interest, is exactly the environment where marketing tends to outrun evidence. Supplement companies, probiotic brands, and wellness influencers have strong financial incentive to state early, promising research as settled fact. Maybe associated with in preliminary studies doesn't sell a supplement. Heals Your Gut does, even when the underlying research doesn't support anywhere near that strength of claim. That's not a reason to dismiss gut health as fake or overblown. It's a reason to be more careful about which specific claims you trust, which is exactly why this list draws a clear line between what's well-established, like fiber and antibiotic overuse, and what's still genuinely uncertain, like specific artificial sweeteners. So what do you actually do with all of this? Start with what's most solidly supported. Increasing fiber intake through vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole grains is, by a meaningful margin, the most well-evidenced lever available to most people for supporting gut microbial diversity. It's also, not coincidentally, the one habit on this list that's boring enough to never trend. Beyond that, manage chronic stress where you reasonably can, reserve antibacterial products and antibiotics for when they're actually necessary rather than habitual, and don't underestimate sleep as a genuinely relevant factor rather than an unrelated afterthought. And when it comes to the more contested claims, sweeteners, specific probiotic strains, trending supplements, a healthy amount of skepticism is not just reasonable, it's the scientifically appropriate response to a field that's still actively being written. Your gut isn't a mystery you need to buy your way out of. In most cases, the most powerful lever was never a supplement, it was already sitting on your plate.